is being recorded.
Okay, so I'm Geri, and I have with me Karla, Wynn, and Sandra Fishman, and they're just going to say a few remembrances about our friend Deborah Isoke Sims. Unscripted.
So one of the memories that I have a lot of memories of Isoke. We used to have a lot of deep conversations, and one of the things that she would constantly do, she was always curious and always inquisitive and asked a lot of questions for clarity, and also shared her wisdom as a professional social worker, and the way that she analyzed things is providing a lot of enlightenment to whatever subject we were discussing. She asked a lot of spiritual questions. There was also how we got to be close, besides meeting through Geri and Todd at Geri's fireside, is there was a young lady in Virginia that we used to collaborate on in terms of her own spiritual journey. And during that time, Isoke was just like a pillar of strength to help this particular young lady through her own spiritual journey as Isoke was going through her own spiritual journey. So, I really miss the deep conversations that we used to have. I miss visiting her. One of the things that she asked for, and I was able to give her, was Shirai that came straight from Senegal, West Africa, and I hope that her family has that Shirai. So that's all I'm going to say for the moment, because I don't want to stop crying. Okay. This is Karla.
Yeah, and this is Sandy. I miss our regular Friday evening phone calls together. The both of us being limited in transportation and ability to get around. And we would have really nice discussions. And it was always sort of interesting to me. She was very active in the People of the Eye conferences. And when we had something on a Friday night and I knew she wanted to go to it, it was like, look, we can talk later. We talk any other day of the week. You go to that and we'll do this. But there were other times when I knew she was tired because she didn't sleep well. And we'd be talking and I'd start to discuss something with her. And I'd be in the middle of this, what I thought was just sort of boring talk. And apparently it was, because she'd go right to sleep. And I would just listen to her snore. And I would very gently say, okay, I'm going to hang up now. If you want to call me back, feel free. Otherwise, I'll talk to you later. Good night. And I would just hang up. But we had some very good conversations.
So I guess I didn't say how I met Isoke and we became friends. So just really quickly, it kind of started with Sandy, who just was speaking, and another friend of ours, Ann Beasley, who also spent quite a bit of time with Isoke, and they loved each other too. But Ann and Sandy and I were helping a gentleman who happened to be a client of Isoke's as a social worker. His name was Don Thomas. And he'd come to Baltimore to be with his family when his health was failing. And he was a very dedicated Baha'i and a very Afrocentric and wise brother and a kind soul and a lover of music. And he needed some help. So we would go and clean his apartment. And every time we would go, beautiful music would be wafting through the hallways to greet us. And one day, he had talked Isoke into coming to an organizing meeting for race unity at my house. And it was pretty funny because Karla mentioned her friend Todd, who's a dear friend, and he was over at the meeting, and it was at my home. So she came to the meeting, and like Karla said, she was so inquisitive and she had all these great ideas and she was so knowledgeable. But when we were done, she said, and this was this had to be like maybe 20 years ago because my kids are 26 now. They were probably 5 or 6. And when we were done with the meeting, I said, "Well, we hope to have you back at the next meeting to organize." And she's like, "Well, good luck to you people, but I'm not interested in amity with white people." And I was like really shocked because she was so engaged. I was like, "Oh wow." It was really funny. So about maybe 7 to 9 years later, we were at a booth I was at the booth with another friend at the Baltimore Book Festival, and I see this tall, striking woman walking toward me. Oh, no, I was telling him about this story. I was telling this guy, Jeffrey, not my husband, Jeffrey. I was telling him about this story of how, this woman had come to this race amity meeting. And I look up and I'm like, that's her. He's like, that's who? I said, the woman I was just talking about. Here she comes. And he's like, what? I said, that's her walking across the grass towards us. And then when she got close enough to hear, I screamed across the area. I said, you, and I pointed at her. And she said, you, and she pointed at me. I said, last time I saw you was at my house. And she's like, that's right. And I said, you said you weren't interested in amity with white people. And she opened her broad arms and she said, well, I am all about unity now. And that's how we became very good friends from that day until this very evening when I was called to the hospital with my daughter to handle her affairs and contact the family. So we just love you all so much. And thank you for allowing us to share your relative. And that's all. Thank you so much. Everybody say bye.
Bye. Thank you so much.